Perceived value. Okay, that's what we're going to talk about today. It is a fascinating thing, isn't it? That you have something that has actual value, the true costs of what something takes to create, market, distribute, sell, and deliver, and all of that. And then you have this other thing over here called perceived value. Before we get started today, I want to remind you to please consider subscribing to this channel. Ring the subscription bell if you happen to be on YouTube. And if you're on one of the other platforms, go ahead and subscribe there. And like the video if you like what I'm bringing to you today. And I think I'm bringing something pretty good, okay? For years, I bought and sold antiques and just nostalgia items, all of that, and made some pretty good money. There's a rule that we would use when we were buying or selling, and that is that you buy on actual value, you sell on perceived value. So let's take, for instance, if we're buying, I don't know, your grandmother's bracelet or something like your great grandmother's bracelet, and it has all of this sentimental value to you, so you want to get as much out of it as you can. But that sentimental value means nothing to the buyer, okay? Because unless she was famous or, there's some kind of historical, something attached to this, it's really only going to bring on the market what it's going to bring, in its actual value, taking consideration that it might be an antique or something. So this plays across the board, regardless of what we're talking about. If it's relationships or religion or politics or whatever, it really doesn't matter. All of these things boil down to perceived value over actual value. So let's say that there's somebody that you wanted to attract in some kind of way. What are you going to do? You're going to put your best self forward, your best face forward. You see people do this all the time on Facebook, right? What do? They use these filters to make themselves look younger and all of that. Put themselves in a different life, which is the perception, right? The perceived value, not the actual value. If we're talking about business or or something like that, if you want, let's say you want to avoid paying taxes, okay, start a church, because there's a perception of what a place of worship is over, say, some place that sells hamburgers, or insurance or something like that. Okay, we put a different perception of a house of worship. Okay. We access multi-billion-dollar stimulus packages by putting out their perceived problems to the public and to Congress to sell them on our perceived solutions, right? And the great thing about that is that we can put whatever price tag that we want on those particular solutions, as a way to solve these perceived problems, okay? Which is just another examples of perception versus reality. You see that a little bit here in this article that I came across yesterday, is where a Spider-Man comic book page sells for a record $3.36 million. And here's the page that sold. And you'll see it says down here on Thursday, 2 pages of original art from the 1984 comic book featuring Spider-Man. Fetched winning bids of nearly 3.7 million total. That's the 2 of them together. The 1 page here sold for a staggering 3.36 million. I'm sorry if I got the scratchy voice and I'm kind of breathing heavy into the microphone. I'm still getting over this congestion, so apologize ahead of time. But this is what Heritage said in an auction, that this is shattering some records and all of that. That's what Spider-Man's been doing lately. But that's the page, and but this is obviously just pen and ink on paper. But there's a perceived value. Is another way of saying this is that it's emotional value, which is a good thing to know when you want to be persuasive with your time and effort. And that's really what I wanted to talk about here, is that, there was an author that his name was Gustav Flaubert, who once said, "There is no truth, there's only perception." So like it or not, you could agree with this or not, but like it or not, we often place value on ideas and opinions that are outside the realm of reality, right? It's not the actual value, but the perceived value that often matters, okay? It's not, what something actually is, but it's the greater value that we give it. So let's say that, going back to what we were talking about, you want to find that someone special, okay? Now, I can only speak from, the side of being a guy, but there's 3 things that I've found that you can do to increase your perceived value. This is if you don't have actual value. Okay, this is beyond the actual value. And I'm going to help you out a little bit here. And I guess it doesn't matter whether you're a guy or girl. It doesn't really matter. But I'm going to speak from a guy's point of view. First and foremost, have a mission, a goal, a purpose, something that is a desire, an intense desire to achieve something. One thing I know for sure, especially with women, is that they recognize when a guy has an intense, like, noble goal because they're going to likely be successful in some way anyway. Okay, what it is they recognize potential. Okay, and potential is a perceived value in future prospects, right? So that's the first one. Second one is to lose your narcissism. You got this has like really been pumped into guys lately. I don't know why. It's a good thing to be a pompous narcissist. And look, man, it's better to show intense interest in other people and in other people's interests. Okay, everyone wants to be recognized, and it's just, you're a more likable person if you can think outside of your own box. Okay, your own needs, your own wants, your own desires. Okay, and the third one is to have a sense of humor. Okay, laughter is, I think it's really the meaning of life, guys. It's if nothing else, it's at least the elixir of life, right? And and I have to say, when I met my wife, I did not want to get married, right? I was kind of done with all that, but she made me laugh. She did. And it just never ended. And she said the same thing about me. I really like, she's liked a lot of other things about me too, but we've always made each other laugh. So, some guys will say, well, all women want is money. Okay. Well, you can understand why, but money is actual value. Okay. Actual value. Okay. And what we're talking about here is often what's more important above actual value is perceived value. Okay. And if actual value, guys, were the most important thing, then this Spider-Man comic book page that sold for $3.36 million. Okay. This page 25 from the Secret Wars number 8, this would be considered fair artwork, I guess, right? It probably took I'll give benefit of the doubt, say it probably took a couple of hours to draw. There were probably $2 worth of materials used to develop this back in 1984. Okay, so if we were looking at actual value of this, it's pencil, pen, and ink on paper. But that's not the case here. It's rare, right? It's rare. It's from a popular series where we first see Spider-Man's symbiote suit, and also it's a part of the origin of Venom. So it has a perceived value to someone out there, I don't know who, of at least $3.36 million. You get my point, that what I'm saying here? Okay. So that's it. I would like to know if you can think of other things that might increase a person's perceived value over their actual value. Okay. And, maybe personally, but also maybe in business. Go ahead and share it down below with the group. Follow me on Facebook, Patreon, and I also have a subscribe star as well. And sign in at MidnightAmerican.com. Become a member of the Night Crew so that we can stay in touch moving forward, guys. Thank you so much for being a part of these episodes and of the Midnight American moving forward. And until next time, know yourself better than you know anyone else.